Welcome to Legal AF. I'm Dave Aronberg, former state attorney for Palm Beach County, a.k.a. the Florida LawMan, here with Kelly Hyman. Kelly, you need a cool nickname like I gave myself.
I'm open to suggestions.
Well, today we're going to talk about Epstein and a new story about how Epstein allegedly bankrolled Bill Gates's reported ex-girlfriend for years. This comes from Fortune magazine. And it is quite damning. You know, we've been told about the connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Gates for some time. And we know about the extramarital affairs, and Melinda Gates has even spoken openly about it. But the level of involvement between Epstein and Gates is still being flushed out. So documents, according to this Fortune article, documents released in January by the Department of Justice show that between 2013 and at least 2018, Epstein helped organize Antonova's visa. Now, who is Antonova? She's a Russian bridge player. Her name is Mila Antonova, who told Fortune magazine through her lawyer that she had a relationship with Gates around 2010. And elsewhere, it's been reported that she was his mistress and had been receiving financial help from Epstein for years. Now, what's interesting is that Gates is not poor, and if he wanted to fund his mistress, he could have done so. Why is Epstein funding this woman from Russia? It does open up a lot of questions, but I'll complete the thought here. So Epstein, this is between 2013 and 2018, helped organize her visa, wired her cash, housed her repeatedly in various apartments he kept in Manhattan, and paid for her coding education. Hey, and I got to learn to code. That's the future. Later, Epstein referred to those payments and pressured the billionaire founder of Microsoft to reimburse him. Emails show. No, Kelly, what do you think?
So much for an alleged paper trail of what exactly transpired. I think that this also helps substantiate the fact that there needs to be a public hearing. There should be no longer any closed door depositions. I think the American people have the right to know exactly what was going on, who it was going on with, and make ultimately their decision. But going back to Bill Gates and this alleged relationship, what goes to my mind is if, in fact, Bill Gates knew of the payments, maybe it was done so that way there would be no ties to him. But so much for that, especially with the emails, because once you send an email, it can live forever, as that's what we're learning about the Epstein matter.
Okay, well, I'm going to get to that latter important point you're making about what Bill Gates knew and when did he know it. But as an initial matter, yeah, I think more transparency obviously would be better. But I think that you're going to have to wait until the Democrats control the House, because none of these interviews have been in public. They've all been behind closed doors. The one who wanted it in public was Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. But of course, the Republicans wanted to use clips from that to their own purposes and didn't want Hillary to have an open mic on a national stage. So I don't think you're going to get anything public here. And you know, I'm not sure if the interview with Bill Gates should be the first one to be public. I want to hear from the politicians, the policymakers, the alleged co-conspirators. Right now, would Bill Gates be a co-conspirator? He hasn't been alleged in the internal documents, but perhaps that day comes. Right now, we're seeing that Bill Gates had an adult girlfriend that was bankrolled by Jeffrey Epstein. And it's, according to Fortune magazine, in one exchange, Epstein invoked the sanctity of friendship. Now, this goes to what you mentioned, Kelly. In a July 29, 2017 email to Cohen, as far as Cohen, we're talking about Larry Cohen, who was Bill Gates's chief of staff. Okay, he quoted what he claimed were Gates's own words. Quote, "If you can help push this out 3 years, that should be enough." A reference, Epstein said, to housing and bankrolling Antonova after her relationship with Gates ended. 3 years had now passed. Epstein wrote he had, quote, paid for school, helped organize visa, and Antonova had to stop bridge tournaments, living day to day on a friend's couch with no air con, meaning air conditioning. Quote, I know you and Bill share my views on the sanctity of friendship, he wrote to Cohen. So it looks like he did know something.
It definitely looks like there is something there. Are we going to learn some more information? Is more stories going to come out? We're going to have to kind of wait and see what happens. As Bill Gates has come out, it's been reported before about having these types of relationships while being married. We're just going to have to, see kind of how this plays out in the court of public opinion.
Yeah, well, as far as Gates's response, Gates, a spokesperson for Gates, said that he regrets meeting with Epstein. The files show just how extensively Epstein worked to insert himself into Gates's life, both directly and through others in Gates's orbit, and how Epstein continued in those efforts even after Gates stopped meeting and communicating with him. To be clear, Gates never witnessed or engaged in any illicit or illegal behavior. Also, Antonova's attorney, that's the girlfriend, told Fortune that she had neither knowledge of Epstein's efforts to pressure Gates nor provided services information or any other assurance or act in exchange for his support. Lawyers said Antonova naively accepted Epstein's help, believing he genuinely wanted to assist her. Now, keep in mind, if you're talking about human trafficking for adults, you have to have force, fraud, or coercion. And so her comments would indicate that there would not be a criminal charge forthcoming. Now, if she were a minor, that's different. A minor who is transported around for commercial sex acts, that is enough. You don't need force, fraud, or coercion. In fact, a minor who you have for commercial sex acts, period, is human trafficking. You do not need force, fraud, or coercion. You just have to have those basic elements. Now, for adults, you do have those elements, which is why you could always say consent. This is what Diddy said, for example, consent, and that would be a defense of human trafficking. So this goes to the question that a lot of people are asking is, why haven't any other co-conspirators been charged? And I think, just I can tell you as a former prosecutor for many years, that it is difficult to prosecute a case that's been around a long time with evidence is old. Witnesses' memories fade. Witnesses die. Evidence spoils. It is difficult, and especially when you have to show force, fraud, or coercion, and you need corroboration. It can't just be a he said, she said.
It's a good point. As someone who represents victims of sex trafficking, human trafficking, you bring up some really key points, especially with the time period, because timing is important, because who else are you going to have to help prove the case? But based on what you have stated and her coming out and with her lawyers and basically saying that she had no knowledge of what was going on, and it appears that it was a mutual consenting relationship. However, it's been reported that there's, I think it's like over 25 years, maybe 30-year age difference between her and Bill Gates. But from that standpoint, from the sex trafficking, human trafficking standpoint, legally speaking, I do not see any potential charges coming forward in regards to this matter.
Right. And Antonova's attorney confirmed that Epstein made, this is according to Fortune, several unsolicited monetary gifts, paid for her coding education, and provided use of his apartment several times between 2014 and 2018. The lawyer added that Antonova met Epstein in person only twice, that he was never present during her stays, and that she had no reason to believe Epstein was using her situation as leverage. So this is what Epstein is known for, leverage over people, perhaps blackmail. And that's why we all should find out how he made his money, because it strains credulity to think that he made it just with his financial acumen. It sounds like there's something more there, like blackmail. But it should be noted that by mid-2016, Gates has stopped engaging with Epstein directly. His last email to Epstein in the DOJ documents is from December 2014. After that, all communications were filtered through Cohen, that's the individual we mentioned earlier, whom Epstein didn't trust and described as Melinda's boy in emails to this third party. Now, what's interesting about that is that even under the best explanation, when Gates stopped engaging with Epstein, we're talking about mid-2016, that is a decade after Epstein was charged with these crimes, these sex crimes involving underage girls. In fact, he was convicted and a convicted sex offender in 2008, 2009. We're talking about several years before Gates stopped communicating with Epstein. Now, these folks who continue to befriend a convicted sex offender, yeah, you own it once the whole thing becomes public.
It's a pretty powerful statement that you just made. And you think of why would someone do something like that? Here we have Bill Gates that's worth billions of dollars, but according to what has been reported, he's still having a friendship, communication with someone who is a sex offender. It's talking about like judgment. Like, are these the type of people that you want to be your friends? And it's interesting that the article talks about how that Epstein, he would try and to get into people's circles. It's kind of like, well, who can I get to know and how is this going to benefit me? It's like the mentality of psychologically of a potential like sociopath, right? In thinking of how is someone going to benefit myself, only thinking about myself and maybe potentially a narcissistic type of person.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just leave you with this. Gates has been called upon to testify before the House committee, and I'm not sure if it's via subpoena, but the House committee is asking him to testify, and so I do expect him to testify. It will be behind closed doors, but if the previous testimony from all these others is instructive, I think we will see the transcript or clips of the interview of Bill Gates. So we will see something. We will know something about his behind closed doors testimony. And then, as I said, when the Democrats get control of the House, I think it's a when at this point, not an if. I think you will see public hearings and you will see more transparency. In the meantime, we'll keep following here on Legal AF. We meet at the intersection of law and politics. I'm Dave Aronberg. That's Kelly Hyman. Thank you for joining us. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, share with a friend, leave a comment below. Thank you for all your support here at Legal AF. And we'll see you next time.
In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.